class. So I decided that I'm going to be doing a video lesson for you starting today. Hopefully this works out well because I'm just using the technology I have at home and we're all just figuring this out. So we are going to start off with our checklist for today. It's just like the ones you've seen with just a few minor changes. So the required activities, that means that's what you need to do today. Number 1, after watching this video, you need to do your normal keynote math, and today is day 6, so you need to complete that and then turn it into Seesaw. 2, there's going to be a math activity that I explained to you during this video that needs to be completed after you watch. Number 3, continue your 10-minute reading in your social studies book and send me a picture of where you're at after the 10 minutes. And then do the same thing with your MyView book, but with 20 minutes. After that, you're gonna read for 20 minutes. And if you remember, we had our reading log that we did for homework every week. We are gonna kind of do that just a little bit differently. After you read, you need to answer one of the questions, which I will post. And then you need to turn in as a note in your journal on Seesaw. First, what the question that you pick is, and second, what your answer to the question is. Make sure your answer is complete. Number 6, you're going to answer the chameleon questions based off of what I read to you, and you'll understand that in a little bit. And then number 7, you're going to do 10 minutes of math IXL and 10 minutes of language arts IXL. Then for optional activities, if you have not done 2.5 hours of schoolwork, you can pick from these activities to work on. So I'm going to start off with our math lesson for today. We're going to be talking more about 2D shapes. We started this right before this break started, so I wanted to get back in so that we don't forget what we've talked about. So to start off, rectangles and squares are very similar. However, there is a noticeable difference between rectangles and squares. If you look on this side of the line, you can see the rectangles. Now, if you look on either side, you see a 2. That could be measured by 2 inches, 2 centimeters, or whatever else we're measuring by. But you can see the opposite sides are the same. Now, this side of the rectangle, it's a bigger number, but if you look across from each other, they're still the same. And you can see that would be the same for all of these rectangles. Now for squares, each side is going to be the same. Even if it's smaller, each side would be the same length. Now I want you to take a look at the shapes up here. This is something we use the shape tools for in our classroom. Look up here. Now take a minute and think about what shapes these are. You can write it down if you'd like, or just keep it in your mind. Now, this first shape right here is a trapezoid. These 2 sides are the same length. They're just at different angles. But the bottom is bigger than the top. Then there's a diamond, which is kind of like a disfigured rectangle or square. But it has 4 sides and 4 points. Last, we have a triangle, and triangles come in all shapes and sizes. But every time you see a triangle, there's going to be 3 sides and 3 points. Now look at these 2 shapes and think about what they are. Make sure you count the sides and the points. Again, you can write it down or you can just keep it in your head. What shapes are these? The first shape is a hexagon. A hexagon has 6 sides and 6 points. The second shape is an octagon. That has 8 sides. Which of these shapes is more like a stop sign? The octagon is the same shape as a stop sign. Now, I want you to say this with me. When defining a shape, I can count the sides and points. Say it again. When defining a shape, I can count the sides and points. Okay, so your math activity for today, which I will be assigning shortly after you watch this, is an activity where you need to count the shape, the sides, and the points of the shape and tell me which shape you think it is, as well as telling me how many sides and how many points. Now, for language arts, we've been talking about text features, especially in our success groups. There's been a little bit of a break, but you have had some practice since we started eLearning. Now, these are some of the text features we've learned about. The title page, the table of contents, the index, the glossary, heading, photographs, illustrations, captions, labels, graphs, and tables. There are a few others, but those are some of the main ones that we've talked about. Now, I'm going to read this short story to you, which is a non-fiction story about chameleons, and I want you to think what text features you notice in the chameleon story. Chameleons. Chameleons are hiding experts. This reptile is best known for its ability to change skin color depending on the surroundings, called camouflage. Chameleons have this cool ability for protection from predators. They live all throughout South Asia, Africa, Europe, and even Florida. Fast fact, did you know chameleons can move their eyes independently from each other? That means they can focus on two things at one time. They can also move them 360 degrees. That means all around. There are more than 160 different types of chameleons. They can be from 2 inches to 2 feet long. From 2 inches to 2 feet long. Most female chameleons will dig holes and lay around 20 eggs. The mother will leave them where they will hatch and grow on their own. So, what text features do we see on here? Take a minute and think about it. Look at the chameleon page. What do you notice? So the first thing on this page that I notice is the heading or the title. This tells you what we're going to be learning about. The next thing I notice is the 2 pictures or photographs of the chameleons. There are also bold words, and that means that they're important words in what we're reading. When you look at the bold words, you can usually look around it in the sentence before or after to find out what it means. When it says independently, right after it means that they can move their eyes 2 different ways at once. So one eye could be looking this way and one could be looking up. So now that you've read that story and you can read it again on your own, you're going to be filling out 2 different worksheets on Seesaw. You can use the text tool, the drawing tool, whatever you'd like to fill out your answers. Now, I'm going to be trying to do these videos every eLearning day, so be prepared to watch one of these each day. I miss you all so much. I hope you're enjoying yourselves and not losing your minds inside, and I hope you get to play outside as much as possible. I miss you and I love you all.